Hey guys, welcome. Welcome aboard if you're brand new. Welcome back if you're not, and welcome home if that sits perfectly for you. What we're doing today is talking about astrology and energy for the week of the 27th of November through the 3rd of December 2023. Let's get right into it. The very first aspect for this week is a full moon, Gemini full moon, 4 degrees. It happens at 3:16 Central Time, Daylight Savings Time, however you want to call it. Followed a few hours later by Mercury and Sagittarius squaring, retrograding Neptune, and then that Gemini moon sextiling Chiron. So this full moon is opposed to Mars, and we have a very strong Sun conjuncting Mars energy this whole week. So this week starts with a bang, right? We also have this full moon happens at a T-square with Saturn, a 0-degree Pisces Saturn. Right? So your urge is to kind of insert yourself or take action in a situation without having all of the facts, right? Might get you into a situation that carries with it big consequences later. So really apply the stop, breathe, and think method. And while you're at it, choose to allow breathing room after the fact as well, right? Both for you and for others. The urge to criticize or pick apart might be really strong. Try to resist it and remember that only you can fight your imagination. So let the nonsense go, right? You do not have to engage. You do not even have to recognize nonsense. You get to ignore it. You get to move away, especially with this Gemini full moon energy, right? Your possibilities are endless. So choose wisely. On Tuesday, the 28th, that Gemini moon will trine Venus, square Neptune, oppose Mercury, and quincunx Pluto. So here's the deal. Your heart is asking for peace somewhere. The thing is, you already know where that is, but you're stuck in a misunderstanding or some kind of cycle of misinformation. Ask yourself, where are you insisting on being right? Where are you forgetting that every story has more sides than yours, right? Every story has more sides than yours. If you want peace, dig deeper and you'll find it. Open yourself to all of the possibilities, one of which must be that you are not correct or fully correct, right? Just expand your point of view and you'll find that peace that you're looking for. On Wednesday, the 29th, the moon moves into Cancer, and then that Cancer moon is going to trine Saturn, quincunx Mars, the Sun in Sagittarius will quincunx Jupiter, and then the moon will sextile Jupiter, and then the moon quincunxes the Sun. So here's the thing. Perfect is a fantasy, right? It's a story that you find in your dream time. Also remember that reality is perfect as you're creating it. Okay? So don't back away because it feels challenging. Instead, perhaps widen your perspective and take a step back so that you see more. That is not a step away. It is a step back to hone your own clarity. So as you regain your clarity, you get to begin anew, right? This is not backing away. It is shifting your perspective, and there is a difference. Pay attention. On Thursday, the 30th of November, Venus in Libra will quincunx her big sister, Neptune. And then that Cancer moon is going to square Chiron and sextile Uranus. Your illusions might confuse you on Thursday, or at least they might complicate the process as you're trying to work through things as they relate to home. And remember that when we talk about home, we're talking about that 100% self-reflexive principle of what home feels like for you, what it tastes like, what it smells like, what it sounds like, what it looks like. Only you can choose those things, right? So instead of falling into old patterns or narratives, kind of maybe shock yourself, upend your perspectives as just as a thought experiment, and play a little game of what if with yourself and see where that takes you, literally and figuratively, and be willing to roll with it and see where you might end up, should you be interested in creating that as your reality, right? Illusions can become reality. It just depends on where you choose to put your energy. On Friday, December 1st, that Cancer moon is going to trine Neptune, square Venus, and oppose Pluto. Mercury will move into Capricorn, and then the moon blazes into Leo. Then that Leo moon is going to quincunx both Mercury and Pisces. Hello, thank you. Trine Mars and square Jupiter. So there's a big old T-square in the sky. The moon in Cancer is squaring, Venus in Libra, which is opposing Pluto in Capricorn. So the perception of them's fighting words, right? The belief that someone is challenging you may come and go today, right? But the feeling can linger, tend to that, right? And as Mercury moves into Capricorn and the moon moves into Leo, be aware of any tendency you may have to posture or to kind of have a self-imposed languaging that might create an obstacle to your own desired progress. The question is, do you want to stand on ceremony or do you want to stand on bedrock? And the fact is, you get to choose. So choose wisely, right? On Saturday, the 2nd of December, that Leo moon is going to trine the sun. Mercury, newly minted into Capricorn, is going to sextile Saturn. And, why, thank you. That Leo moon is going to trine Chiron to end the day. So Friday's discretion is going to pay dividends. There's a grand fire trine that is going to ignite the moon and the sun and Mars and Chiron. So your new improved self-story is important, right? Saturday is a great day to launch the tale of, let's call it, how you came to heal and thrive. However, you are here to share that story. Saturday's energy is going to ask you to begin. Well, hello. So anyway, it's going to ask you to begin and to create the habits and the practice to support that beginning. On Sunday, the 3rd, the Leo moon will square Uranus. Venus in Libra is going to, hello, thank you, square Pluto. That Leo moon will quincunx both Neptune and Pluto. Mars in Sagittarius will quincunx Jupiter. The moon will sextile Venus and then the moon at the very end of the day will stride her way into Virgo. So on Sunday, be mindful of sudden sneaking suspicions, right? Or self-doubts that might appear. The fact of the matter is you can confront feelings of losing clarity, of feeling not good enough, or feeling that your totality, right, needs an overhaul. There might be some kind of confession or sharing of information from someone else or from yourself to yourself, right? And those might be required to salvage some kind of level of trust and intimacy, and to kind of keep you on the path of transformation and renewal of energy. The fact of the matter is, remember that you always have options, and that some of those options will always include boots on the ground repairing, right? The fact of the matter is that if you're willing to do the work, there is nothing that you can't come back from. So make sure that you include yourself as healed in your story. Yeah, no kidding, clear your karma. So this week is, it's a pretty interesting week. I like the way it starts. It really wants to talk about how you're creating and where you're choosing your story, right? And why you're telling what you're telling, and how you can tell it in a different way, and how it's going to, I don't even want to say divert the course of your action, but how it's going to innately create you brand new as it is creating what's around you, right? Okay, let's talk. So on Monday we have the Two of Cups and the Seven of Wands. So this is a question of how are you really minding your cups, right? And this is about relationships. This is about the way that you're defending your choices when it comes to what creates contentment or satisfaction within you, right? And we talked about this as a day to be cautious that you may put your foot in something where you don't necessarily have all the facts, and how that might create ripples or consequences in your relationships. And that includes your relationship with yourself, right? So we're going to stop, we're going to breathe, we're going to think, and then we're going to extend compassion and kindness, not just to ourselves, but to all the people in our story. And remember, only you can fight your imagination, right? This Gemini full moon asks you, yes, we witness all of the possibilities. Where are you in the way of your own possibilities because of your insistence on being right, right? Put down your resistance and move into something bigger. On Tuesday, we've got the Eight of Wands and the Three of Pentacles. So this is forward motion that is supported, forward motion that is aided, right? And so we talked about this as a day where your heart is asking for peace somewhere and asking you to find a way to put down anything that is not peace, right? And understanding that if we're insisting on being right and forgetting that every single story has more than one side, right? This is about collaboration. This is how we build our foundations. And so if we don't have that peace that we're looking for, it's our job to move. It's our job to dig deeper, not dig more into the situation. Instead, shift your perspective, move, right? The Eight of Wands is about movement. So move. Instead of digging the same hole deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, try digging and coming in from a different angle. You might be surprised at the reciprocity that gains you, or a shift in perspective that gains you, or the capacity to collaborate in that wider perspective of truth in a different way, right? Remember that motion doesn't always have to be linear. You get to choose it. On Wednesday, we have got the Tower. Look at that beautiful Tower card. My goodness. And the Two of Pentacles. So we talked about this as a day where perfect is a fantasy, but the reality that you're creating is perfect, right? What does that mean? Well, just because it feels challenging, just because it feels like we're juggling, doesn't mean that we're going to give up, right? We can't drop our pentacles. We simply can't. But we can allow our perspective to shift a little bit, right? This is an idea that comes in and changes everything. The Tower doesn't have to be a destructive card in terms of structures or material surroundings or circumstances or even relationships. The Tower can be a shift or change in you that allows you to be more stable, right? Think about that. The card that comes after the Tower is the Star. That's hope, renewal, right? So we're talking here about regaining clarity and finding your footing in a deeper way, in a more solid or stable way, right? As we look at that Sagittarius sun, aspecting Jupiter and the moon both aspecting Jupiter, this is how can you expand? And the answer is, if you feel like you're juggling, widen your stance, right? That it might be that simple. It might be that simple. Just widen your stance and understand that the shift doesn't have to be cataclysmic at all, right? It can be tiny, a tiny shift that just allows you a more stable base. On Thursday, we've got the Hanged Man and the King of Swords. We talked about this as a day where illusions might confuse you or complicate your process as you're working through that sense of home, right? And how we want to upend our perspective as a thought experiment. How fortunate and lovely that we have the Hanged Man to solidify that energy, right? Play that game of what if, and then use your skills as that King of Swords. Use that sword of truth to see what happens, literally and figuratively, if you're able to just play the game of thought experiment. Well, what if I try this? What if I try that? What if I try this? What if I try that? Who knows, right? Who knows where you end up? And the answer is you get to discern it. You get to choose it. And you get to choose it with your intellect and your heart, right? The King of Swords is always about transformation, right? Swords are always surrounded by butterflies. And that indicates the truth of the process, right? And the sword of truth is simply an implement, an action step, as you get closer to what that truth is for you. And that's all that matters, the truth as it is for you, right? Choose your own perspective. It's beautiful. Friday, the 1st of December, we have the King of Wands and the Three of Cups. Lovely, right? Lovely. So we talked about this as a day where, you know, that them's fighting words might come in. You get to choose how you're going to walk with that, right? Instead of creating language that inspires you to posture or to hold fast to a stubborn idea, right? Because wands are always about our heart, our inspiration, the juice of our life, what sets us in motion, right? Do you want to stand on ceremony or do you want to stand on bedrock? Well, guess what? If you're choosing with your heart and you're choosing what's giving you reasons to celebrate, if you choose more and more of this, right, then you give yourself every reason to choose bedrock. Right, so just choose wisely. Just pay attention to what motivates you and dig in there, right? Pay attention to what you want to dedicate yourself to and dig in there. That's the key to your long-term goals. On Saturday the 2nd, we've got the 10 of Swords and the 5 of Pentacles. What an interesting pairing, right? So we talked about this as the day we have this grand fire trine. Really igniting your new and improved self story. So you have options here, right? 10 of Swords asks you, put down some ideas. put them down. They no longer serve you. In fact, they've pierced you and you have bled through them. Now, instead of choosing them as something to carry in terms of a scarcity story or a story of the pain it caused you, instead, how can you shift that awareness to that next right step, that next right movement, that next right building block, right? How can you take that story and turn it on its head and create that tale of how you came to heal and thrive, right? Both of these ask you to begin. You don't have to see the ending, right? You don't have to find your shelter. You don't have to find all the answers, but instead simply begin. Create the practice, create the habit, create the devotion and the dedication to the movement of your practice, right? Create the dedication to your own healing. That's all you have to do. That's all you ever have to do, right? Make one choice. Choose you. Make one choice. Choose you. And just keep doing that. That's progress, my friend. On Sunday, the 3rd, the Page of Pentacles, the 4 of Cups. Okay, so where there is boredom will come opportunity, right? We talked about this as a day where you may encounter some sudden sneaking suspicions or some self-doubt, right? You might confront some kind of feelings of loss of clarity, or feelings about your worth, or feelings about needing to shift or change things, right? This is this kind of boredom, this lack of zest in your life, this lack of engagement, honestly, that the 4 of Cups represents. The Page of Pentacles comes in with an opportunity. How can you be in your experience, right? We talked about this as a day where you might find some information from someone else that is really going to allow you to shift your relationship to intimacy, to a path of transformation, right? To something that's going to create you more, better, further, deeper, wider, right? Remembering that we always have options, and we talked about this as that Virgo moon comes in, right? That beautiful earth moon, allowing you to put your boots on the ground, right? Boots on the ground, hello. Instead of floating in the air. Remembering that we're always going to be supported if we're willing to do the work. There's nothing we can't come back from, right? We don't have to sit here and wallow in the coulda, shoulda, woulda, what if I woulda. That was a thought experiment, not a place to live. So put your boots on the ground. Find where you're going to choose to walk. Occupy your space. Wherever you put your feet, occupy your space, right? Clear your karma. So this is a week where we're really walking through our story, recognizing where we've been, recognizing the lessons that we've learned. And here's the deal. As always, the story we have told in the past is nothing less than perfect. We can judge it or use our discernment in a different way now so that we may move forward in a different way now. However, where we were then is absolutely perfect. And creating present patterns from those old places of being, that's a choice. That's a karmic choice, right? And if you want to be in your karmic freedom, choose now, based on now. Don't choose now based on then, right? You can't, because you aren't where you were. You're only here now. You've got it. You can do it. Okay, we have the Dream Thief, refusal of the call. So let's read what this has to say. Fascinating, isn't it? Let's see. Rejection of the path of fulfillment, refusal of the call. The Dream Thief is a soft and compelling seductress. Her only purpose is to keep you hypnotized by comfort and sameness. She wants you to tell your old stories over and over so that you do not evolve beyond them. Ask yourself whether you're reverting back to the familiarity of your origin story of why you were wounded and when you were rejected. Well, we've talked about that a lot this week. Do you talk about how your family molded you as a child without acknowledging that you've already become someone else? Do you? It's a great question. Teaching from an old wound will never allow you a new adventure. Instead, bring to mind how you've already changed. Remember that you have new stories to rely and build upon. Do you want to move beyond the barrier of glass you've placed between you and the horizon? You can, and it is not difficult. Instead, answer the call to a new adventure and drop your resistance to sailing the uncharted seas of your potential. Right? Right. The wind will soothe and sing the dream thief to sleep so you can wake up and move forward. You are so much more than you know. It's time to express what is laying dormant. Your new adventure has already begun. Well, guys, that's kind of what we talked about all the way already, right? You can choose the old story, but you've already become something else. So claiming it is claiming an illusion. You're here. You're here now. What you choose to carry is always up to you, right? And if your karma is to make that choice again and again and again, no one can stop you until you stop you, right? Until you choose to shift your perspective and claim your now as the only place. Boots on the ground. Guys, this is a very cool week. You get to make big choices. So I wish you nothing but the best. Yeah, be blessed. Happy Gemini Full Moon. Relish in every possibility and choose your path wisely. Take care.